Welcome, everyone, to the Paranormal Pride. I'd like to welcome you guys all here for my very special 10th anniversary show. It was technically last week, but we had family things we had to take care of, and I know all of you guys understand that. So, 10 years. Can you believe that? Doesn't seem like it's 10 years, and then sometimes it seems like I've been doing this forever. So, but one of the things I wanted to, tell you guys, my guest tonight, Kat Hobson, she was the very first paranormal radio show I ever actually listened to on computer, podcast, because of the fact that I didn't really listen to them until then. And my very first guest was Rick Rose, but she had interviewed him just a few weeks before. And that's how we met, was me sending him rampant messages, telling him, the answer to the questions that was coming his way. And so there you go, our 10th anniversary for the Paranormal Pride. So I'd like to welcome my very special guest,
Susan and Mike and Tom.
Kat Hobson.
Hello, happy anniversary. It's a big one.
And you didn't know that you were the very first show I ever listened to.
I did not. You've never told me that. Now I feel a little wigged out and really happy.
Well, things are.
I'm getting text.
It's probably your mom.
Probably my mom. Where are you
I was like, Did we get too sappy? Is he leaving now?
No, he's getting a message, and I'm pretty sure it's his mom.
Right.
Wondering why we were late. Yes.
Hey, Tom McNicholas.
So it's very, everybody's here. I'm so glad you're all here. And if you guys have any questions you want any of us to answer, please feel free to ask. We, both of us, all three of us, are an open book. Just don't ask me anything personal about my kids right now. I don't want to talk about
that. Well, I'm going to talk all about your kids right now. But I kid, and I love you.
So, well, when this all started out, I was in Kansas City, and you were all around, Birmingham and Gulf Shores, and we took a trip not long after I got started doing this, and we met up with you and at Sloss Furnace. Mm-hmm. And that was back in right. I miss Frank. We got a guy down here on our billboards that sells bail bonds that looks like Frank.
Could be Frank.
It's not his name, but it does look like him, but a little
bail
younger.
Bond name.
So, but it makes me laugh every time I see it. And I've told him before, I go, he reminds me of Frank. I don't know who he is, but he looks like Frank.
Well, Frank's married again.
Oh,
Frank is married.
Congratulations to Frank.
And this is their anniversary this weekend. And they are a match made. I mean, seriously, they are so good together. Her name is Carla.
Oh.
And they are just disgustingly cute. So I love it.
So they going down the Gulf Shores for their anniversary?
Pretty sure not. They're buying some property or trying to. So they're looking to go into debt. So not really. They probably.
When you get married, that's what it is.
Well, it is, but I mean, they already had a home. So this is something that will be just theirs. And, and I did not, because, I got hacked so bad, I didn't realize that Carla wasn't on my friends list anymore. Mm-hmm. And so I saw them posting about their anniversary and stuff, or saw Frank doing it. And I went to go say something to her, and I'm like, where is she? Oh my gosh. And where she was not added back in. A lot of people just came back, which I thought was weird, came back in my thing, but
Well,
she's there now.
You getting hacked was a mess.
That was a mess. That was a hot mess for a red hot minute too. I was so mad.
Yeah, it's like, how can you can't even keep track of how many people you lost, and
I lost over 5,000 people.
Oh. So, and that was on your show page, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then your personal page got messed up too, didn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, everything was gone.
Hey, Don. Hey, Chris, Mom. And I said, oh, hey, Karen. I didn't know Karen was in there.
Yep.
And Dara, hey. I love all of your friends and my friends. And Susan.
We have great friends. That's what's nice.
We do.
And not to mention, half of these people are families.
I know.
And that's the thing about my show is that all along my family's been there in some capacity from day one. Which I remember my mom, and I know you do too, being there. And as soon as a certain word would be said, she'd say, "See ya," and she'd be gone.
Yeah. Does that still work? Is that still the magic mom eraser?
Probably. I would think so. But, we don't really
have
have
not,
that.
because
Yeah, it happens more so than we like to think. But speaking of that word, the other day was Susan Williams' birthday, and I accidentally butt dialed Glenn and Susan up there in Gettysburg. And
that's funny.
And so I was laughing, and I said, I was just wishing you a happy birthday and letting you know that we were probably coming to town. I didn't mean to accidentally butt dial you. And of course the words started flowing from Glenn. So and that was the only show that never got a replay on your network, because he used the F word a few too many times, and we couldn't find out where it was.
Couldn't edit it enough.
We just couldn't find it for you to edit it out or to bleep it.
Yeah.
Too many.
Yeah, it was too many of them, I guess. I think there was only 3, but I couldn't find them all.
Well, but I have had people that's their every other word. And if I'm upset, I might be known to say that on occasion. Here, there, everywhere. But try not to do it on the air.
Well,
I do try.
That was one of the things, one of my guests, Vanessa Hogel, when she interviewed Steve DeShavi, every other word out of both of theirs mouths, and it was like, oh my God, before I have her on, I got to talk to her, and I'm talking to her, and she goes, well, I'm a oral hygienist for a children's dental office. And I go, what?
Then she can clean that potty mouth.
Yeah. So
what?
But after that, I told her, I started introducing her to everybody as the effing medium, because it was the only name that fit. And so
that's so funny. But yeah.
And the thing is she now signs her books that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's great that, one of the nicknames that I gave has stuck with her so well. And yes, Tom, we all are hoping that you get better really soon. We're all very concerned about you. And Tom McNicholas was also a guest on my show and your show.
Yeah.
And then him and I were guests together on many shows.
And he is a great person and a great guest.
Yes.
So Tom, just know that you've been in prayer.
Yep.
Been in my prayers too.
See. I've also had Dara on the show.
Yep.
When we talked about the Pythian Castle when it was on Ghost Adventures. Let's see, who else here in this chat? Jeremy. Yep, we've had Jeremy on our show. Where in the heck is my mouse? On one of the 3 computer monitors. Let's see.
Or at least one of them.
Susan and Mike, we met through the paranormal. And I guess that's about it so far. So, but yeah, of all the guests that you've had, that I've had, I found out when I did a AI search of my most listened to show.
Right.
1 and 2.
Who it is.
1 and 2 are Rick McCallum.
Oh, let her guess.
No, because I guarantee that she probably has the same issue on hers as well.
Well, I mean, I've never looked because I never worry about that.
I never did.
I mean, every time I do a show, I'm doing it like the world is listening. And if I'm lucky, but then again, because Rick's one of my best friends and David's friend too, I just always I never think of him in a celebrity mode.
Right.
So when we're anywhere, I mean, people fangirl over him. Like, because he's so unassuming. He's so just laid back, doesn't care, does like pretty blondes, just like y'all know. But it's really an interesting thing because I don't think of him as a celebrity at all. And sometimes that's good, sometimes that's weird for him, I think.
Mhm.
But we were having a discussion one afternoon and it was about his health. And it wasn't just me, it was David. Okay. It wasn't just me yeah-and on him. But I did yeah a bit here or there. And he was like, "You are not my wife." And I said, "Aren't we both damn glad of that?" But somewhere in a past life, we were certainly at least brother and sister because no, sir. And he is doing much better. He's such a wonderful man.
I've been worried
But
about him. And,
yeah.
that's the thing. To me, nobody's a celebrity. I don't care how
Mm-mm.
famous you think you are. You still go to the bathroom and put your pants on the same way.
And you still get an upset stomach.
Right. And I'm more excited about meeting the person than the celebrity.
You
Could care
are.
less. I want to get to know the person that's there. So we're excited about
Wow,
going to Ireland. And the main
we
reason we want to go is because you've talked up Rick so much that we feel like
yeah
we know him.
we pretty much know him
Have
as
y'all not
a
ever
ghost
met?
hunter, and that's about it.
Have y'all not ever met?
Mm-mm.
No,
I thought you had somewhere along the line.
Nope.
no.
Well,
I talked
then
to him on the phone a couple times back in Kansas City, but that was when Tom was having the Spook Show Con,
Mm-hmm.
and we couldn't work it out. But we did talk,
Right.
because his fees at that time were very high for a small show that didn't have the money.
Yeah. I didn't even know
Even
he
though
had
it was in his
fees.
backyard, when he was
Yeah.
growing up, even though it was in Chicago area. So
He's so funny with that, though.
I know. And
But
I got a feeling he probably would have worked it out, but he didn't know me well enough then.
well, I'm sure that he would have, but probably he didn't want to be um, seeming pushy or whatever about it, But
Yeah.
I will say that if anybody is ever having a fundraiser for kids relevant to that or anything of that nature, if you just get him there and give him some place to sleep, you'll probably get him because he is all about helping kids and veterans and things of that nature.
Well, sometimes they're the same.
They are the same. Yeah. Some of those that I know have never grown up.
Yeah.
Yeah Nation. So,
Yeah.
But
Actually, aren't they down here filming in Tallahassee right now?
I have no idea.
Hmm.
I am so behind
I
the
know
times.
I know that Jason is. I know.
Are they down here now?
Yeah. Jason left, I guess, this morning. And so they're working on probably Cool Summer 12.
Because it's taking about a month. Yeah, it won't be too cool.
No, every time they
No.
come, I mean, when they came the last time is when we got the snow.
They need to stay there.
Yeah, they're going to see a lot of rain, it looks like.
Yeah, they're going to see a lot of rain this time, I believe. Because we got
Well, it's
7 days of rain.
Yeah, it's kind of the season for that
Oh, yeah.
transitioning, and then we won't have any.
Right.
Yeah.
So
We've been
there's
on a drought until Saturday.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to get rain the next Wednesday through Wednesday, but who cares? As long as there's no lightning, you can still go to the beach.
Yeah. But if there is lightning, lay down. Don't be the tallest thing on the beach ever. So,
Well, we went to the beach on Sunday.
Yesterday.
yeah.
Yeah. And the Portuguese man of war were everywhere.
Yeah, I heard they
all
were
dead, but still puffy, so they were still dangerous.
Well, they don't have to be puffy to be dangerous, just so you
I know.
know.
I know.
just the tentacle alone with nothing on it will send you to the emergency room. And for people that don't know, if you see blue stuff on a beach, do not touch it, because while they can fix a regular jellyfish sting, there is nothing they can do for a man o' war sting. You just have to ride that horse out, and it's awful.
Yeah.
So
We were warning people. I mean, and there were little tiny baby ones and big ones. You know,
yeah.
I saw one last year. I didn't know what it was. And so I looked it up and I was like,
Oh,
oh shit.
oh, you should indeed. Yes.
And so they were all over Navarre Beach. And I had seen, you know,
Enough of them anyway.
yeah, we saw enough. There was like 15 or 20, I think I counted.
Right.
But it was a really good shell day.
Well,
You
nobody
know,
was there picking them up.
well,
So
there were a lot of people there. I mean, I don't know how many people I warned about the man of war because they had a bunch of kids around.
Oh man, they would be tempted too.
Yeah, because
it's
it
blue and
looks like a piece of
puffy.
plastic.
Yeah,
I told them, I said, if it looks like a little blue balloon, don't
Man.
touch it. So
well, you know, the thing with that is that they look like a balloon.
yeah.
So it's just weird.
it is.
I am posting on my Facebook because I didn't see where I shared this, so I'm sharing it now.
Well, we're just glad you're here.
Well, I'm just glad
Yeah.
I'm here too, because this is a big deal for me, because you being, yeah, you having your 10th anniversary, that's so huge.
Yeah. And I think I had my 5th one on your network.
You did.
So,
So,
and I have to still thank Ross for putting me on the air the first time. I don't know.
yes.
I never would have thought about it until he said something to me. He sent me a message and said, "Why don't you do this?" And it's like, well, what would I call it? You know?
Seriously.
And yeah, I didn't know what I'd call it. And then when I thought about it, you know, the kids are always talking about the Lion King and that a pride is a group. And it's like, well, this works. And, you know, if you use AI to look up the Paranormal Pride, we're the first thing that comes up. So I guess that's good.
I think it's good because,
So
you know, it's a big deal. It really is.
I'm just grateful for all the people that I've met through the show. Yeah, being on Ghost Adventures was great, but I didn't meet a lot of people because of that. Yeah, it got my name out there and people started sending me stuff, some stuff I could have done without. But, you know, I've made friends with so many of the people that were real people. It's funny how you find out how many aren't real after you start researching them a little bit. But
it is. But
it's so nice to be able to do all this stuff where we get to meet people. You know, like we drove down to see you when you were near, not real near, but near enough to Kansas City, and we drove down.
That was as close as I've been.
And then you just went again, didn't you, to the Ozark
Springs, Ozark UFO Conference,
and
Ozark
you
Mountain
went
UFO Conference.
And you went with.
How'd that go?
It was brilliant. I had the best time there. I always did. Lori Dorsey went with me, and you know, it was brilliant. Those people do such a good job, and something I learned. I love learning. I learned that there are Bosnian temples, not temples, pyramids. Probably temples in those pyramids, but Bosnian pyramids. And with LiDAR and the capabilities that we have with satellite viewing now, you can actually ascertain if the structure of a mountain is just maybe too perfect, which is what happened in Bosnia. And in fact, I've got the guy's card here because I've got to email him, but it's Dr. Sam. Oh my God. Okay. Eastern European, okay. Osmanovic. Dr. Sam Osmanovic, director and principal investor, but he is the guy that is working on doing the pyramid clearing and cleaning, they found like resonating chambers there that are sound healing. And he's doing a tour in June. I I have had the law laid down that I cannot go to Bosnia until things settle down there. There's a lot of landmines just planted
Yeah.
places and stuff like that. It's
Still.
not as safe as it could be. But
I don't. When was the last time it was safe?
about 20 years ago,
Oh, it was
Yeah,
safe
before
20
the
years
war.
ago.
between
know.
battles.
It
Between
seems like it's
battles.
always in the news. I mean, my entire life, parts of it.
Yeah. Well, it's just one of those places that is strategically placed,
Yeah.
and everybody would like to own that area, so they keep trying to. But Serbia, Bosnia, and that region is very volatile.
Oh yeah.
And Sam was like, "No, don't listen to your State Department. It's not that bad." And I'm like, "But my husband listens to the State Department. I
Yeah.
can't go there."
Yeah. It's
So,
not worth a divorce.
no, no,
Y-
it is.
Yeah.
Nothing is worth, not being with the person you love.
Yeah.
What would you be expecting to find there? I mean, what all?
Well, they have found multiple pyramids in this area. There's Pyramid of the Sun, Pyramid of the Moon. They have some of the most bizarre activity around there that I wasn't sure of. It's just like they have a beam, an energy beam that goes through the top that they don't control.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's it's a lot. I'll send you. I will put
Yeah, I
this
didn't know
over.
anything about this.
Yeah.
If anybody is interested, this is the man's card.
Good luck.
So you can get
Name. Dr. Sam. We want Dr.
Dr.
Sam.
Sam. Yeah, that's what I call him, and that's what he calls himself. So, and we just happened to, everybody goes up to the little restaurant at the hotel and eats, and so Lori and I were sitting with Kathy Martin and just hanging out, and he's trying to find some place to sit down and eat his soup, and we were like, well, it's a chair, you can sit there. And so he ate his soup, told us about his pyramids, and was gone. So, but he was my favorite new person. And another guy that I found, I was waiting to interview Ray Hernandez, and he lost his voice. He could not speak.
Oh, wow.
Thank goodness he got his lecture in before then. But it was so funny because somebody else came up, and the organizers were like, would you like to interview him? I was like, well, heck yeah. So, it was just a good time. I like being there. And it's very family. It feels like family.
Yeah.
It's the smallest UFO conference I've ever gone to. And it's probably my favorite UFO conference I've ever gone to. Not just because y'all and Tom showed up, which was brilliant, but because they have new thinking. It's a publishing company, Ozark Mountain Publishing, and Dolores Cannon, who created the QHHT
Yeah.
therapy,
Yeah.
she founded that company, and her daughters still run it.
Yeah, I
And
tried to interview some of the people that do that. There's a bunch of them here that have the QHHT training, and
yes,
they go,
because they like being where it's warm, just like
right.
you.
But the thing is they turn me down
She won't
because
talk to us.
the two ladies that I've talked to won't talk to me because they think that it's all paranormal. I'm like, just because it says paranormal still doesn't mean anything. It's still media. It's still coverage. It's still,
Yeah, we were just
Were
curious.
they
We only asked
afraid
her
of
what all
being?
she did.
Were they afraid of the label?
I don't know.
I don't know.
She didn't want to talk about what they did.
So I've got their cards and stuff. I may retry later on.
So we got those other. Well, we found the other people. They're similar.
Yeah, I on the other show that we do with Carl, we had on Mike and Tori from their hypnotists down in Fort Walton. Their last name is Kratz, Mike and Tori Kratz, and they were just so happy to come on and talk.
Yeah,
And some of the theories that they work on are not that far off of the QHHT stuff. It's different, little different on some things, and a lot different on others. Don't get me wrong, but at least they were wanting to talk. They didn't care. I met them at that conference where we showed up with you in September of 2023.
Same as short-sighted.
Yeah, and these QHHT people that I met, the two.
Yeah, the Pensacola.
Yeah, one in Pensacola and one in Destin.
Yep.
Neither one of them wanted to talk. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Their loss.
So, yep. And that's, Chris, you're right. It's their problem. Hey there, Gary.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, Gary.
See, another guy that I also interviewed.
Yeah.
So, and it was Frank, not Tom. It was Frank Bennett and his wife, Teresa, that you saw at that conference down there.
That's right. That's right. My bad. I thought Tom came.
No, Tom hasn't been there that I know of. I don't think he's ever been to Eureka Springs.
No, I don't think he's been there.
So
he'll tell us.
Oh yeah, he will.
Might have.
You're right, because that's the only
we didn't
time
know
I've
about
ever
it
met
until
Frank.
we met you.
So I am, I just absolutely love getting to meet people. And I have a dog going off, so sorry. But and a husband trying to stop him, which is louder than the dog. But one of the things that I found with these with the QHHT people, Julia Cannon, she also has a married last name, but she is someone that I interviewed from that organization structure. And they're not very open about what it is or how it's done, because it's very specific. Yeah. But I mean, she was Dolores's daughter.
Right.
And she was willing to share some with that. So to me, that was a lot of fun.
There's a lot of YouTube videos out there with Dolores.
Yeah.
But they're still vague.
Yeah, it doesn't go into
They are always going to be vague. Because that's a business as well as a healing practice. Mm-hmm. And it's very specific on how that works.
And you have those, you go to those people, it's expensive.
It is very expensive.
It's expensive.
It's around 4,000, 4,000 to 8,000.
Yeah.
For the training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I looked at it. They were having some deal.
Yeah, that's right. You did look.
They were looking at some deals.
Wasn't much of a deal.
It was $199. But the thing is I guarantee that was only to get your whistle wet.
Yeah.
And get you hooked in. It's the bait.
It is the bait.
You're really in. Yeah.
Because that's actually a very intense training. Because the actual sessions themselves are very intense. And the person being healed, being worked with, however you want to voice that is such an intense experience from my understanding. But they can do it remotely. I mean, the people that go through this training are freaking awesome. But Kathleen Martin has done that. That was Stanton Friedman's research partner.
Yeah.
And so very ... And she's great. She is somebody that does experiencer groups as well. So for MUFON. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I
thought they were a cover-up for to sell timeshares.
I have been through one of those presentations. Have y'all been through that presentation?
Oh, yeah.
Once.
One.
Holy
It only
crap.
took once.
Yes.
Yep.
I was done.
And it was in Destin, and it was so that my daughters could go paragliding.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we sat through it. We did not bring the kids with us.
Good plan.
We used them as an excuse to get out of there. We've got a 6-year-old and the 12-year-old can't handle her. We got to go.
Yeah.
We did bring Leah.
Yeah.
So,
but they didn't know that. They didn't know.
no.
But yeah, and back then I think that paragliding was like $110. It was after Hurricane Ivan, but before or right after Hurricane Dennis. Is when
Okay.
it was. So
That storm was a very weird situation.
yeah.
It was it was so crazy. But you would have thought that the end of time was coming. And then nothing.
I remember we were on a boat. We were on one of the fast boats getting sea salt in our face from the water and seeing hotels that said, "Go away, Ivan." They were still boarded up from Ivan.
Yeah.
Right there between, right along the Destin waterfront.
Yeah.
So, but again, I haven't been to a Destin beach since we moved here. It's like, why?
Why would you put yourself through that?
I know. We have the same beach.
I lived in Destin.
When it wasn't
Pre-Opal.
like it is now.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it was not. And it was, it's really Destin. Excuse me if you love Destin, okay? But Destin was basically Gulf Shores, but with military bases when I lived there. And after Opal, I mean, it was devastated. All the places where I lived was gone, where I worked was gone, everything was gone. And so they took that hurricane money without a lot of civic planning. And now it's the cluster that it is. And that's why when I am still going to Ireland.
Yeah, you realize it's less than 4 months now?
I do.
We are going
It's coming
to.
quick.
I got my shoes.
What kind did you get?
I got Columbia's. Both pair of purple, both pair of waterproof. One's
I'm
high top,
shocked.
one's not.
She still doesn't think you need to, do much with a raincoat.
I have a
anything like
raincoat.
that. Oh, you got a raincoat, but you need
No,
a raincoat.
you need a raincoat.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was in Scotland last year, because we were walking so much, right?
Yeah.
You cannot, and believe it or not, my raincoat came from the Winchester house because it was cute because the ties are rope, and I just fell in love with it. And when I buy souvenirs now, I try to buy something I'm going to use because I do not need any more clutter. If you could just see my house, you would know why.
Yeah.
And so,
I'm living that life right now.
right? But it's absolutely the best raincoat I've ever put on in my life. I did not get wet. I wore waterproof Hokas, like the nursing shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I lived in those. I did not take rain boots because that would have just run down my legs anyway. But it was, I never got wet under my raincoat. We went to Bannockburn House and all these other places that were not easy to get to and stuff. But when we got back to Edinburgh from there, we were walking everywhere. We went to the Banshee Labyrinth, and which is right off the Royal Mile, and you're just walking in the rain.
And you pay this much money, you're going to be walking in the rain.
By God. Well, everybody else is. I mean, the people that live there are, because you just, excuse me, you just learn to adapt. And I'm not sure what Ireland's going to be like temperature wise, but I do know that in September, I am taking warm clothes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, around 50.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to go from 120 heat index to 50. So,
Yep.
It's going to feel a lot colder.
It's going to help that the airplane's going to be freezing ass cold. I guess here.
50 and upper
Yeah.
30s at night. So
Which
Yeah.
reminds me, we are going to
they don't have a big temperature fluctuation
Yeah.
from night to day like we do.
Mhm.
Right.
But we need to get together about flights.
Yes.
So
Well, when does she say it's okay to book a flight? Usually about a month out or
Probably in June.
oh, in June?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because you
okay.
don't want to wait too terribly long.
Right,
But I
right.
will. Are y'all up for going to Edinburgh for a few nights first?
For what?
few nights first. Edinburgh over to Scotland first.
I thought that was after.
No,
Well-
we haven't made a decision yet.
Well, we can't do after
Yeah,
because one of us is going on a cruise.
Oh, okay.
Not me.
Okay.
Not me.
Not me.
But
Okay. Well,
Um,
let me figure that out.
Charlie.
hey, Charlie.
Charlie from Fort Lauderdale.
That's just
Oh,
showing out right there.
Hey, well, thank you. Did you, Charlie? Were you there over the weekend when the Blue Angels did their air show? There you go. See, I know stuff.
I love their air shows.
I can't wait to see them. If we had went to Pensacola Beach instead of Navarre Beach, we may have seen them coming home.
Yesterday?
Yep, yesterday.
They didn't come across Navarre?
I should have heard them.
Not when we were there anyway.
No.
We were back
Yeah,
here.
we would have heard them.
We were back here.
They got to go
around-
past Navarre to get there. Unless they took the long way.
I don't know.
Take care of you, Tom.
Yep. You take care, and we're praying for you.
See you, Tal.
We were at the beach until 3:00. So we went from 1 until 3.
Yeah.
So it could have been timing too.
Well, it
But-
could have. I mean,
Oh, would have seen them or heard them.
So
you'd have heard them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Even with the water roaring is the way it was and high tide, and it was not as loud as it was the last time we went. Of course, it was double red flag the last time we went. So
That's right. Down there working.
I knew he was
Training,
working. Good.
Training, sir.
Are you training everybody, Charlie? Another one of the people that's been a guest on my show.
Everybody has been a guest on your show.
No, not everybody. I'm a little
lot.
picky.
You are picky, but you select good guests.
Yeah, I
But
try.
you've also had a very versatile selection. I
Yeah.
mean, we
One
both
of
like things that are a little weird.
Well, that
So-
one Daniel Shergley, I had him on. He was a survivalist,
Mm-hmm.
and he still had some paranormal things to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
which was
Just about
unusual.
everybody
For
does.
UFO than it was Bigfoot, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everybody's had something. Sometimes they don't talk about it until they're in the right place.
Exactly. And we're both safe places too.
Yeah,
So
try
it's
not
a
to
good place
judge.
to do that.
Yeah, try not to judge. Sometimes I might make a face, but that face is usually one where I'm thinking about.
Yeah, your
How that
WTF
works.
lines will come out every so often.
Yeah, well,
Mine
just a
too.
heads up, I don't do video for work. And my boss goes, "Why not?" And I go, "Because I'm on
Most
video
others
enough."
Don't either.
I said, "I'm on video enough." And I said, "And I know that I have resting bitch face."
Yep.
And I said,
me
I don't
too.
want somebody to misconstrue that as that I think that they're full of shit or that they're stupid or something like that. I said, it's just the way that I'm listening. I'm intently listening with my face. And I don't want people to think badly about it. And so, like when they do the Halloween crap at work and they want you to dress up, I always put a mask over my face. That way they can't tell. And they'll go, "Well, what are you?" "Oh, I'm a shadow person."
There you go. I love that.
And one year I just dressed up as me and went on there and they go, "Well, who are you?" I said, "I'm a serial killer's granddaughter. This is what we look like. We look like
There you
everybody
go.
else."
You're so funny.
So,
And I love that you're so funny about things that aren't sometimes.
Sometimes, you get to a certain point in your life that you can continue to cry about it, or you can just let it go.
Yeah.
And I'm a let it go kind of person. It's not that important to be upset about something that I can't change. Can't change
and that you
the
didn't
fact
have
that
anything to do with.
no. And I look at it as that those things that happened in my past are what made me who I am.
Yeah.
So I can go, if I went back to change it, would it change anything? For real?
You don't know. That's why you should never
No.
do that.
So, like one of our favorite questions to ask people, if you could go back in time or forward in time, which would it be?
I would go forward.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because we already know what happened back then. And
Yeah.
you can't change anything that happened back then.
If you went back, you
If I could change things, I might go backwards. But the problem with that is that there's absolutely no way to know what the change you do will cause.
Right.
So I would much rather go forward and learn there.
But then what do you change going forward that could affect the world? See,
I know some things that I would change because it couldn't make them worse.
Yeah.
So
I
there are
don't know.
things
I
I would
always think
change.
about.
I don't know.
I wouldn't
Probably
change
those things.
Probably have to go forward so I can see that the Kentucky Derby only paid $115 on a trifecta, and I wouldn't spend more than that
There you go.
to hit it.
So I tell you what, for every horse running yesterday to be in Secretariat's bloodline, the dude's still freaking winning races. I mean, that's just my favorite. My favorite place that I've gone in years that was a poker place, because my husband plays poker and I have to entertain myself, was hey Donna, was the Kentucky grounds, the racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
Churchill Downs was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to go out and watch the practices that morning as they were working the young ones. And some of the ones that ran yesterday were there when I was there. And I recognized two of the names, yeah. So I was just like, wow, that's so fun.
Have you thought about going back and taking their haunted tour?
I have done their haunted tour.
What did you think?
I thought that it was brilliant. So I also did a haunted walking tour in one of the neighborhoods behind there.
Okay.
Behind them. And I just had the best time because I went and I did the morning workouts, right? And then I went and walked the neighborhood. There was a little neighborhood sale. So the one of the signs back there, I bought there.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I went back and I had lunch at the racetrack, and there I had a really nice luncheon, right? And then I went and did another. I did all the tours they had. I went and did another tour, and then I did the nighttime haunted tour in that neighborhood behind it.
Yep.
We went the week after the Derby. We went Mother's Day weekend.
It was packed.
Horrible. And nothing was really, they didn't have enough people to wait on everybody. It was in 2014 because I have my glass here.
Yeah.
I have my little glass.
It was
as you see, I drink out of it often. But I have it. I drank that
like
drink.
A Derby crowd.
It took forever to drink that because it was horrible. But I forgot what it was. No, it was whatever they made for the
Oaks Day.
For Oaks Day, and
not the mint julep, the other
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but I had to try it, and the lady
Of
just
course
kept
you
adding ginger ale to it for me. So it took me like 3 hours to drink it because it was
Oh,
mostly by the end it was soda.
Yeah, she kept adding ginger ale. I'm like, there's ginger ale's not even in the drink recipe.
oh my gosh.
Like, no wonder it tastes like crap.
So, needless to say, I've been there 3 times now. I did one time I took the kids on when we were going to see my mom. We just stopped in on the way and walked around, and I got pictures with all the statues with the kids.
Yeah.
And then I sent Ron a message and I said, haha, I've been here and you haven't. And then
We went the next time.
yeah, the next time we went, but that was also the same year that I took the kids
Yeah,
to Buffalo Trace for their haunted tour, as well as, checking out all those different things. And we had fun. I started taking the kids off the beaten path more and more every trip we took. So that's how I found some of these, places that nobody knew about until way later. The Buffalo or the Bourbon Trail didn't really, it was just starting to come into existence when I was driving the kids off to go to the candy place and all these other things that I thought was interesting. And then eventually everybody found it was interesting and they all started going. But I don't know. I kind of miss that drive going across 64.
Yeah.
And down Mountain Parkway, but only parts of it, that I miss. And
Now
Donna,
we get to go through Atlanta.
yeah,
Yay!
yeah, instead of Louisville and St. Louis.
Yay!
Hey,
I'd
Donna,
rather go
thank
through Louisville
you.
and St. Louis.
And
So,
Donna, if you guys don't know, Donna's my sister. Her son has stage 4 glioblastoma, and he just finished his first round of chemo and radiation, and they're hopeful. And so I want everybody to keep
Looking good so far.
Yeah,
we'll keep praying.
keep them in your prayers. They got Tim got accepted into a program at Duke for a trial for glioblastoma,
That's
and
wonderful.
and it's all going to be covered by their insurance. So I'm extremely happy about that. So, but if you guys go to my Facebook page and you see a fundraiser for them, please check it out. And if you can help out, please do. If you can't, please share it. Maybe somebody else who's suffered from glioblastoma might want to help. I don't know. Support is helpful, because Timothy was an electrician. He's not, and of course you can't see. You don't know which wire is red.
Well,
So,
yeah, and that's important
yes,
in that trade.
Red and black. You kind of need to know. So,
Angry.
but we're keeping them in our prayers, and hopefully we're going back to see Donna in July after Gettysburg.
Are you going to Gettysburg?
Yes, we are.
I did not know that. You should
Surprises.
tell me these things.
Because everybody else is.
Yeah, everybody else is going. Why
I
not
am.
us? We don't have little kids. Well,
Well,
we don't have our own little kids.
we're trying to get him in daycare.
So, but yeah, that's a whole nother story, trying to get him in daycare. But
well, we should get a table near each other.
I don't want a table.
No,
You don't
we're not
need a
getting
table. You're going just to play.
I'm just going to play. I'm going to go walk around and get to know everybody. That's, me. I'll probably be sitting at somebody else's table talking to them.
You will be sitting at somebody else's table talking to them.
I just don't. I want to, make sure that I visit with everybody. And, I found out from Susan and Glenn that they're no longer part of the event. And so we know that we're going to take some time to go see them.
Yeah.
Our Baltimore people, and might as well. He's going to do some strong chemo on next Wednesday and back to Duke on the 2nd. So, and that picture there that she's sharing, that's in her profile picture, is our nephew Timothy and our niece Sarah. Okay. So we're thinking about them all the time. And but yeah, I wanted to at least let you guys know about Donna. You see the name Weatherstein, you may not think anything of it, but Donna's my sister. Judy gets in here sometimes. She's also my sister. Crystal's my cousin on my dad's side. And then Dan and Kitty are cousins on my mom's side. So these are a lot of people that don't really know each other, but they're all family. You know, and then we got Karen, Ron's mom.
Mhm.
You know, it's easy to tell with the Pride More one.
Oh,
A little. So,
Cassie, so sassy.
oh, hey, Cassie.
well, hey.
Another person that I've interviewed on my show,
Mhm.
Cassie. So, she's with she's in Leavenworth, Kansas.
Yep.
She does a lot. She was doing tours there. I don't know if she still does. And she hangs out a lot at the McIntyre Villa. It's one of her favorite places.
That's a good place.
Met her at the Sally House, of course. So,
Of course.
and I tell you, I think that was probably one of the best experiences of our life, was being part of the Sally House until it wasn't. And I think that becomes with everything. Oh, Judy's calling. Donna.
Of course.
So there you go. She may not be here, but she's there. So, okay. Well, Donna, take care. We love you. And so,
And we'll keep praying.
oh yeah. So when of all the shows that you've done, and we're gonna leave Rick out of this, okay?
Okay.
What has been your most memorable show? Not necessarily your favorite, but the most memorable.
Stanton Friedman.
I know you made a big deal out of that one. It was huge
Yeah.
for you.
It was huge for me. Well, because he had such a freaking wicked sense of humor, and I was not used to physicists that were funny. Right?
Mhm.
And he may not have known that he was being funny, but he was. And when we finally got to meet face to face, we met at the Ozark UFO conference. And he was so annoyed because the airline had lost his merch bag. He was tense. He was older, right? So he didn't like things that weren't methodical. Their methodology was not appropriate.
Right.
So a little bit later, between lectures, I went down to the vendor room, and he had nothing. He'd sold everything in like 10 minutes. And I was like, "So where's your stuff?" He was like, "I've sold it all, and now I have time for you." I was like, "Whoa." Yes. And so we sat there and we talked like a couple of runaway horse slaves. And it was so much fun because when, the story is that when I got up the nerve to send him a message, and he called me, and I didn't have my phone with me, but I had my watch, and I answered my watch. And at the time it was a Fitbit, right? So I didn't know who that was. And so he's got this voice, and he is so Canadian, and he is just blah, blah, blah. "This is Stanton Friedman, and somebody left me this number to call." And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to call you back. I'm so sorry. I have to call you right back." And he was like, "Well, what?" I said, "I am Dick Tracy, and I have to go. I will call you right back." Called him right back, and he was like, "What?" As only an old man can do, right? "What is this Dick Tracying that you're speaking of?" I was like, "My watch, Stanton. I was on my watch talking to you." And he thought that was the funniest thing he'd ever heard. And so when we actually got face to face and hanging out, and, it was so much fun because I had a very good year that year. And so I got to see a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a while at that conference. And, Chase Klotsky being one, because I think she's brilliant. She's my favorite female ufology person. And then a lot of other people too. But that particular, getting Stanton Friedman to come on the air with me in the first place felt like such a coup, right? Because I had a nuclear physicist who had written prolifically, like on the J12 committee and stuff like that, and knew everything. He had participated as a scientist in the atomic testing outside of Vegas. Um, he was just brilliant, and he considered me a peer to talk to me. And a friend later, once we got to be friends, and I talked, my last interview with him was the Wednesday before he died. And he had told me when we got on that, he wasn't feeling great. He had a procedure the next day, and then he was flying to California. And, so could we just do the first hour? And I said, sure. So I lined Frank up to come up the second hour. And when we got to the top of the hour, Stanton didn't want to go. And I said, well, you said you didn't feel well. And I have Frank Lee here. We can just all go on. And he was like, probably I should go to bed. I thought, well, it's up to you. And then Chase called me that weekend to let me know that he had died on his way home. And it was, whoa, that's an emotional thing. Yeah. I can usually do that and not have a problem with it. But it was interesting. Yeah. He was never boring. He would have considered that a cardinal sin. So
I know I heard at least 2 of your shows where you interviewed him. And some of it was way up here.
Not for you.
Well, I mean, at the time, it probably was. I was listening to it and going, okay, well, these are some things I now need to think about that I hadn't thought about before. It's because, it's just like, like when I asked the question to Travis Walton, okay, I'm not going to tell you guys about the question, but you learn something new about the person with the question that you ask.
You do.
Whether they've answered that question 1,000 times or not, you learn something new about them that you didn't know. And when you were talking to him, there was so many things I didn't know that I ended up becoming to know better. So now, another question. Go ahead.
You go first.
Nope, because you're on a thought. Go with it.
Well, I was just going to say that when I started talking to Stanton, that first interview we did, I had crammed for that interview. I mean, and that was the full 2 hours. And I was talking with someone who I don't get intimidated by someone's intelligence very often, but I knew different things that he had done, right? And survived, and I knew things that I just knew a lot about him. I had the same experience with Raymond Moody, the guy that wrote Life After Death. Yeah. But it was, I had to prepare so hard for that interview. And come to find out, when we started talking, I didn't need to cram. I mean, because the things that we were talking about, I had learned. I mean, it came through that I knew more than I had when we first talked on the phone. But when we got off the phone, he was like, "You're really good." Or we got off the show. It's like, "You're really good." I said, "Well, it helps when you have a great guest." He was like, "No, you're really, that will always." I've never told anybody else that, but that is the thing that because I've had a lot of up and downs with my show in the last year because when I got hacked, I lost a lot of listeners. I had all this other stuff going on, and I was just like, it's hard to reach out because I don't want to get banned again, right? So I got in trouble for what somebody else did with my Facebook. So anyway, so I'll sit there sometimes and I'm just like, do I really need to keep doing this? Am I really going to keep doing this? And I am, because Stanton Friedman told me I was really good at it.
Well,
and so, I may not be really good at it, but he made me feel good.
You are really good at it.
Well, I mean, I love what I do. I love learning. I love getting a chance to learn from someone and learn from their experiences and sharing that, you know? I mean, I love taking people along. When I interviewed Steve DeShavi, I've done it twice. The second time he was on painkillers because he had shingles. And he
Yes, I
was
remember.
actually working.
Because
He was
he was in
working.
Missouri,
Yeah. Yeah.
wasn't he?
Mississippi, he was in Vicksburg.
Oh, okay.
And
Because I know he was really sick when he was in Missouri too.
yeah,
Something
but
else,
the
possibly.
Vicksburg was the shingles.
Mhm.
So, you know, and I was just like, are you sure you want to do this? He was like, oh, yeah, I've already taken pain pills. I've got bourbon. I've got a cigar. I'm good. And I'm like, you're drinking with your pain pills? He said, have you ever had shingles? I said, not yet. He's like, you'll drink with your painkillers. But,
I have to say, I agree.
yeah.
I've had shingles 3 times, and I
Really?
don't ever
3?
want them again. Yes,
I knew you had
3.
them. I didn't know you had them 3 times.
Yeah. Just
Holy
once for
crap.
me.
Yeah. So, people, I'm not going to tell you to get your shingle shot, but I lucked out. It didn't get on my face.
Mhm.
I didn't have any huge blisters, but we caught it fast. I
Yeah.
mean, I knew something was wrong. I mean, the first time I think I was in Denver the first time when I found out. So that wasn't good being out of
No.
town. But yeah,
Well,
I've
that's
lucked
kind of
out
where
that
he
I've
was.
known
Yeah.
every time early, and they were able to get me on Tamiflu right away.
Well, I was so blown away because I had what my doctor said later was shingles on my neck.
Mhm.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. But again, I got the medication started like too sweet because I went because I didn't know what it was.
Mhm.
And he said that if I had waited, then it could have, because it started on my neck, that
Right.
it
Yeah.
could have really been a negative worse than it was.
Yeah.
But Steve was funny because he was loose. He was so loose. And then I did an interview with him for the Hollywood Ghost Hunters magazine, for Rick's magazine.
Mhm.
And come to find out, their webmaster had disappeared, so Rick never got a chance to put it up there. So I sent Steve a message recently. I said, can I put this in Fate? Because this was a great interview with you, and can I run it in Fate? And he was like, wouldn't be much different, would it? I said, no, not really. So, um, but he's so irreverent. He is so funny,
Oh
but
yeah,
he
he is.
so does not give a crap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I will say I liked the way that show was done.
I do too.
Especially when Amy was there. Yes, I like Cindy Kaza. I like her.
Hmm.
But it's, like when they replace your favorite character on a show, you're
Yeah,
not going to accept them for quite a while. And she didn't have a chance to get accepted
yeah,
before the show got canceled. But it's like there's no way that you could have changed out um, uh, Hawkeye on MASH.
mm-mm.
You could change out BJ Honeycutt and McIntyre,
Well,
Yeah.
but you couldn't change
if
out.
they had replaced Steve with somebody, it wouldn't have worked.
No,
No,
it
Even
wouldn't.
if you left Amy there, like I said,
yeah,
they're both good together.
Well,
it was a
they
good
they,
Well,
they were
chemistry.
good separate,
separate.
Yeah,
separate but together.
But yeah,
but
it
I
worked
mean, but it
out.
was a good chemistry for the show,
Yeah.
It was,
and
and I don't know why it got canceled. Well, maybe I
my
do,
guess would be
but
It was
maybe
on
he had
for
enough.
it's
it had
I'd
been
possible.
on
guess.
quite a few years.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? About 12, 13, something like that.
I don't know.
It just
It
seemed.
was it.
I
It'd
mean,
been on a while.
it kind of got to the point to where every show was the same.
Yeah,
But it was strange that when Amy left, her ex-husband was still the camera guy. still the
Well, they liked
the
it, liked the job he did.
yeah, he did a good job.
Obviously,
I like him.
yeah.
I'm friends with him on Facebook. He's just a friendly guy.
well, you were
So,
friends with everybody on Facebook.
Except
well,
me.
no, not him. But
Well, she got enough of you at home, man.
Yeah.
but yeah, the thing is for me, though, I like to get to know my Facebook friends and find out if we're really friends.
Me too.
Yeah.
Hey.
You do not.
Actually, I think he's actually surprised at the Facebook friends that he's met, and he's really liked them. Rosalie, we tried to have her as a guest, but I met her when I was helping out Ken and Farah on Demonology Today.
Yeah.
And Ken and Farah, of course, I had them on. And I've had Farah on just, now since Ken's passed. And that is a strange story in itself, meeting them. So Kevin and Jennifer Malik had their show on. They were interviewing them. And Ron just looks over at me. I say, I want to listen to the show tonight. They're demonologists. I want to hear about it, and so we're listening. And he goes, I went to school with a Ken Deal. And I told him, he goes, how's it spelled? And of course, at the time, I didn't know that they changed the spelling of their name for the shows.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. And so I sent a message in the show, and I said, what year where did Ken go to school at? And Farah responds,
well, they were in Springfield.
Yeah, they were in Springfield.
It's probably not. Yeah. I said it's probably.
But I still sent the message, and all you can hear is Farah's nails typing. And I had to learn that not to type while I was on the show because you guys, I had that mouse fart mic back in the day, and you guys could hear my nails hitting the keyboard all the time. So I knew what it was, the sound. and I asked some questions, and she goes, yeah, Hazelwood West, and 1981 or something like that, or 1980, 79, something like that. But it was the same year as Ron. Okay. Right. It's all coming together, and Ron's going, it can't be. He goes, it can't be the same guy. He goes, he goes, we didn't hang out in the same circles. He goes, I was a jock, and he hung out with all the burnouts. But he wasn't he was more of a nerd. We found out later on he was just a nerd and not a burnout. But he hung out with these people. And the thing is they never actually met face to face, weren't friends or anything like that, but they knew of each other this whole time. Okay.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
About 3 blocks away.
Yeah. So
really? Knew a lot of the same people too. So
I made plans. Oh, wow. We were going to Springfield, and I sent a message to Farah, to both of them. And I said, I would like to see if you guys would like to meet for dinner. I said, where would you suggest? And of course they were very cautious because they didn't know who we were. We could have been some nut jobs. They don't know. As soon as we sit down in this Mexican restaurant, and I brought
always a Mexican restaurant. That's so funny.
It is. But I brought them rum cake. Oh, see, that's the trick. Bring liquor. And so we're sitting there talking, and we're about ready to close this restaurant down. We did not know that Ken had small children, littler kids, and they invited us back to their house after this. Fun. And we ended up hanging out there until probably 1:00 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And we were friends. Well, we're still friends. And, Farah invited us to her wedding. She didn't have that many people come, but we now share a wedding anniversary with her too. Not only you, but
it's a good date.
But yeah,
it's a handy date.
I said, get married on Memorial Day weekend. You always have a 3-day weekend coming up.
It was like 2 months before too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, we're probably getting married sometime next year. And then all of a sudden,
2 weeks later, I get this thing.
Yeah.
And what's funny about that?
She goes, Memorial Day. And I went, this year or next?
Well,
she goes, this year's. Why wait?
So what's really funny about this? Ron asked me, he goes, he'd been asking me, what do you want to do for our anniversary? What do you want to do for our anniversary? And I said, I want to go see Farah. I said, but she's probably going fishing. And he kept asking me, what do I want to do for our anniversary? I said, I want to go see Farah. I said, I can't think of anything else that I want to do. And guess where we went? We went to a wedding.
There you go.
So we hit it off that well that very first time. And
Yeah.
and again, just from listening to a show on the computer, a podcast, listening to it, making friends with people. That's how we met Carl.
Yeah.
That's how we met Gary.
Gary, yep.
You know,
they kept asking questions. I said, man, I don't know who these guys are. I said, they ask good questions.
Always.
And we finally asked them, we said, where do you live?
And
right down the
he
road.
said near Cameron, Missouri. I'm like, are you kidding? That's not that far.
But again,
and look at those friendships that grew from that. I mean,
you have the same thing.
People. Yeah.
I mean, you're one of our friendships from that.
Yeah.
And then Frank, even though I don't talk to Frank as much, I see him more on LinkedIn. I never see him on Facebook anymore, but he's always on LinkedIn. Sharing some new certification. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some new certification every day. So I guess I can go to him and get my conceal and carry now if I wanted it. Of course, I don't need one here.
You don't have to do anything to get that. So
yeah, you don't have to here.
I've had concealed carry since I got my permit.
So, but yeah, it's Ron.
No, that was a while ago.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like I said, I don't know what I'm grateful for the time that I've had to talk with people, to get to know everybody, and to make real friendships with the people that I've talked to. I feel like poor Karen Lavin. How many times did I call her Linda? And I interviewed her again and did the same damn thing. You know,
you did not.
Yes, I did. Yeah. And I love Karen. I think she is great. And you know what? She does not live too far from May Herndon.
Really? In Ohio?
She lives in Dayton.
Yeah.
Or not Dayton, Kentucky. She lives right there near the Kentucky state line.
Yeah, the second time she did it so much, I did a little Post-it pad and I put it in front of her. I said, her name is Karen. She still did it.
I'm not
I give up.
Was not that great of an actress for me to keep her in my mind. You know?
Well, it was just a connotation.
I know. It was just...
It's weird how stuff triggers like that.
Yep.
So somebody I kept calling the wrong name too. I can't remember who that was. You probably know.
Well, Frank was one just now. You called him Tom a little bit ago.
That's true. That is
but
true.
Again, there is another. Well, Frank, to be honest, I met him in person before we became Facebook friends. So and I've had him on.
That was by accident. That was
we were at a paranormal
in Kansas City.
Yeah, he was sitting behind me at a paranormal conference, and it was the only time that I've ever had a table, well, a real table at a paranormal conference, and it was for the city of Atchison.
Yeah,
and here we are. David Glidden's across from me, and the only thing I'm seeing over there is me. He's got this video playing, and it's of me at the Sally house with him and Ron and some other things. And so it was season 2, episode 1 of Haunting History. And there's me. All I hear is my voice this whole time. And behind me is some guy talking. And I go,
he's from Maryland.
I said, he's from Baltimore. And he goes, how do you know? And he asks me that every time. How do you know? I know the sound.
Right.
The weather lady on Fox News, Lynette, whatever her name is, she's from Baltimore, and I know it. As soon as she talks, I don't even have to look. But so I got up from my table and I walked over there and I sat next to Frank and talked to him. And the first thing he had in his book was my favorite restaurant, Gino's, growing up. And from there, we've been friends. He came to Ron's 60th birthday party in St. Louis. We met up with him down there at the Ozark Mountain UFO Festival or conference, even though we didn't go to the conference, we just drove down and hung out. And let's see, what else? Yeah, I mean, he's gone out of his way. He's gone to paranormal conferences. That the one that Tom put on, he came out to that, and now he lives down here in St. Augustine, and I trying to figure out how to get over there.
Oh,
Right.
you should definitely get over there.
Oh yeah, but
That's a cool little town.
But yeah, but I
Oh,
have
yeah.
to work it into all the other stuff that we're doing. You know, babysitting,
Babysitting.
work.
Let them know that, I'm going to be out this day. Take care of your kids, and I'll see you when I get back.
Well, we try to plan it based on our daughter's work schedule because she's
Sure.
a dispatcher
Sure.
at the haunted University of West Florida. So we're going to
That's
do.
We're going. Want to get in and investigate.
Yeah, we're going to check that out at some point. We're going to try to see if we can get in there while school's out.
Yeah, there's a
Well,
couple
call me and I will
buildings
come
even the
down
cops
there.
won't go in.
I'll come down there and go with you. Let me know.
Oh, I definitely will. And
That
then
would be fun.
Yeah.
We don't ever investigate together.
when do we have time? We barely have time to eat together.
We will in Ireland.
Right?
Yes.
Well, I have more time than you do, so.
Yeah, I still got.
I thought I did. I thought I would.
And then we started.
I want to go back to work.
In self-defense, right?
Yeah.
I would be bored. I was bored when I
I
quit
wouldn't.
working outside of the house. So.
Oh, he's not bored. He's been painting kitchen cabinets for weeks. He's finally found the right rollers so that when we do the bathroom.
That's hard to do. When I did the cottage, it was hard to do.
Yeah, when he does the bathroom, it'll be great. But we got this.
Well, it's bad when you paint a bunch of it and you go, this looks like crap. You got to resand it all back down.
I had to do that in the kitchen at the cottage because I was the only person doing it. I had no idea how to do any of this stuff, but it got done. So, because David had to stay home with the dogs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Ron's learning how to be really handy now.
Yeah.
So,
good to know.
You now have somebody you can call. But yeah, we've got the kitchen cabinets. They're no longer. Some of them are white, but most of them are not.
It just takes time.
It does, and
it's the prep work.
It is the prep work.
It is the prep
makes
work.
You take all the crap out.
Yeah.
Move a bunch of crap.
And then we're finding out things that we want to change as we go. And that's not good when you have a brand new house.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know what?
The thing about having a brand new house is it doesn't have to be today. Because it's a want to and not a have to.
It doesn't have to be today. Ron just got tired of looking at white.
I could see that.
That's the only reason the cabinets got
painted. White on white.
In all fairness, I went from brown cabinets to white cabinets in the cottage because my walls are that summer yellow, the warm summer yellow.
Yep.
So the white goes.
But when your trim is white, all your walls are white, your ceiling is white,
that would
everything's
be too
white.
much. That would be too much.
Cabinets are all white. It's.
And guess what? They did not paint them thick. So the paint's already chipping and the house is less than 2 years old.
Oh, and the cabinets? Oh, yeah, it barely covered.
That would be annoying.
Yeah. So, yeah, just keep in mind, you don't really get what you pay for anymore.
Well, it's because that's not true. Not nobody. But a lot of people just coast.
So, Susan, the color now
is in the picture. It's in the picture of the before and after on what we got so far.
It's called
the cabinets.
Upward. Yeah, the cabinets are called Upward. That's the color. There are a blue with a slight gray-white tint. There's gray in there and there's white. So it's bright enough to where it's not going to make you feel depressed in the wintertime.
It looks different during the day if it's sunny out, and then it looks like a darker gray at night. But it's like it changes the color. The colors change depending on how much sun you got.
That's cool.
I actually kind of like it.
I like that.
Yeah, you don't. it's not just one color. It's pretty neat color.
Yeah, and I know everybody's shocked as shit that I didn't say they're purple.
Purple.
I can't do that in a kitchen.
I
mean, with the right color, I could, but
I've never seen a purple kitchen.
I have. I saw one online.
Of course, you have.
The other day, and I was like, they painted the bottom ones this real dark royal purple.
Oh.
And the top were this like a mauve color. So they did the two-tone cabinets basically, and I liked it, but I felt like I would get tired of it.
I could see that.
But I do like the fact that the bottom cabinets were darker and the top ones were lighter, because your bottom cabinets are the ones that are going to get dirty fastest.
That's
just
true.
Reality, everything falls.
Or splashes up.
Well, when it does splash up, you usually know about it. You never know about the stuff that falls when you're doing stuff. You never do. You find out later on when you find the spaghetti sauce on the cabinet. You go, where'd that come from? We haven't had spaghetti in 6 months.
And spaghetti sauce stains. So
Not anymore.
Not anymore. And that's the other thing. They didn't
stick to this crap.
They used a really extreme low gloss.
Mm-hmm.
We're now satin, so we can now wash it off as much as we want.
Yeah.
So we're sealed. So let's get back to the paranormal here. So we got a few more minutes. Did you ever have an interview that was more infamous for you? Like, oh my God, I wish I hadn't done that kind of thing?
I can't think of anybody that I wish I hadn't interviewed.
Not anybody. I mean, maybe a subject that you wish you had an interview on.
Really?
Okay.
There's not anything, because I love learning. And I have had people on who was that night? And you'll remember. It was yes, no. I don't think so. Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, indeed. It was an author.
That's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, we had her too.
Did she do that with you?
No. She did not.
I'm going to tell people, because
Good night, Gary.
Good night, Gary. But I hope it settles down.
Me too.
But this was an author. She was on her 3rd book. She needed promotion. And it was somebody I knew.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a random person I had reached out to for an interview. I knew she wasn't selling a lot of books. I thought that, we put her out there. The entire time we were on the air, she was filing her nails. She was doing a manicure. The answers were yes, no, I don't know. Complete disinterest, remember? Complete disinterest in having that conversation. And I got a message not too long ago from that person. He said, well, I've got another book coming out. Or, I was like, well, that's really nice for you.
Yep. Should have said maybe. I don't know.
Well,
surprised you could write more than a few words.
I was just so, because this was somebody that would really benefit. And that's when my numbers were off the chain.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. And so I got a lot of feedback from that show.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of feedback from that show. And I actually had somebody ask me, why did you not cut that interview? And
because you were hopeful that it was going to get better.
Well, even without that, I wouldn't have done that, because I felt like no matter how somebody else acts, I'm going to be professional.
Right.
And in this instance, I could have, say, the call dropped. I could have done whatever, right?
Tornado.
Because tornadoes
What
Hail,
we did.
happen.
hail corps coming close by. There, it's sirens are going off. We got to go.
When the sirens go off, we're out of here.
No, that's
Um,
what I said during the
yeah,
call.
It did happen
um,
one time. It just wasn't that one.
Yeah, just wasn't that one.
yeah. But I try not to, because you know, if somebody was listening to that, that was going to be on her,
Mhm.
because her disinterest in doing that show was so blatant. And why she said that she wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
I still don't understand.
Yeah.
Because don't understand why she did that show.
I met this person in Alton at a paranormal conference there. And again, she, she was with all the men, not not with them in the biblical sense, peoples. But yeah, she was hanging around all of them. She liked getting the attention, and it's quite possible that you weren't the attention that she needed, craving.
Well, but she wasn't going to get any attention with how she was behaving.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she came off as, I would have thought, had I not read her books, I would have thought, I could not possibly read anything this person wrote. How boring must it be?
Yeah.
You know, and as my mother would say, she hadn't had the manners God gave a billy goat.
Yeah.
And so that's probably, oh, hands down, that's the worst. That's the
So,
worst interview I've ever done.
so what
And it,
advice would you, if this person was to come to you now? Okay, and I know she did, but if she was to come to you now and say, "Hey, how could I make my interview skills better?" Somebody's interviewing me. How can I make them better? What would you tell her?
don't have anything in your hands. Don't have anything else that, if you are trying to promote yourself and you're going to have the opportunity to go on a show that has, at that time, tens of thousands of listeners through the course of the different platforms, then you need to be engaged. If you are sick, that happens. If you are not, then if somebody is going to give you the time to sell yourself and your product, when there's so many other people out there that would enjoy that opportunity, you need to be present. You need to recognize that you're not doing an interviewer a favor. An interviewer is doing you a favor by giving you an opportunity to sell whatever, whether it's just yourself, whether it's a new book, a new film, a new product. I love talking to people that are innovative enough to come up with new ways to interact with the paranormal. I will always give an inventor all the attention and all the time. I think that's really cool. If you're a paranormal investigator who has found a different methodology that you're really turned on by, and you're not one of those people that hoard it to yourself, you want to share it to see if other people get those responses too, which is a good idea, then appreciate when somebody says, I understand that you're doing this. Can you tell me about that? And then, because I'm not going to ask somebody to come on right away, because I want to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then if it's a new product or a new method, if it's a new method, I'm going to go try it myself and see what happens with it. So I'll have a way to have that conversation. But if it's a product, then I'm obviously not going to just assume that somebody's going to send me one, right? Because there's money involved in that. But if we're at a conference together or something, show me how it works.
Yeah.
Show me what you've got. And because I love helping people get recognized for what they're doing. There's so many people that don't want to promote other people, right?
Yep.
And Rick is, my friend Rick McCollum, is always fussing at me because he's like, "You're not promoting yourself." And I'm like, "I've done this for 10 years. I know what I'm doing. People know who I am. I enjoy lifting other people up.
Yeah.
I think that's fun. That's why I do this."
I believe that you are promoting yourself by being who you are and having the shows that you have. Everybody knows who you are. And the ones that don't are excited as hell to get to meet you when the time comes.
Well, that's one of the reasons I like conventions.
That's why I like them. Like I said before, I like to walk around and I want to meet everybody. I don't want to sit there and wait for the people to come meet me.
Yes. Well, that's why the tables I do, I'm not tied to them.
No.
I've got dates out on the tabletop. Last season, I was giving out my bells, which this one's fancy, but I took a bunch of hotel bells with me to Gettysburg, and I gave them out free, just free. If you use one and you get, you know, activity, let me know about it. I'm trying to figure out because my bell on my desk will ding when nobody's in the house but me and two dogs. And I always just figure it's my dad or my mom or grandma. I mean,
We
so
have I took a bell and I had a ornament holder and it was a jingle bell and I would hang it at the Sally house.
yes.
Similar idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I never heard it ring, but I did it. I put it out there all the time just to have it because I figured it was something simple. Well, yeah, because it's something simple that even the older spirits that have been dead for a couple hundred years knows what a bell is.
Yep. And especially that jingle bell, because they would put them on harnesses and stuff. That was a real thing. And it's like the bells that I took with me to Gettysburg. People were like, "Oh, I need to give you some." I said, "If you want to donate towards another box, you're welcome to do that, but these are free." I didn't bring these with any ties. Just let me know if you get activity with them. And I had several people that reached out to me. Only one did get activity, but several people reached out to let me know that they were using them on their investigations.
Well, hopefully you get more feedback.
Well, I was pretty excited to get any. Because, it's such a random thing to ask people to do. And I didn't want to say, "Why don't you go get you one of these and just let me know what's working for you?" I just thought if they had one, there would be more interest,
Yeah.
because I'm always looking for different ways to use stuff in my investigations. And I'm not doing residentials anymore because, that's, I'm not going by myself.
Right.
And my research partner got married, but she's psychic. So,
you could end up with two partners
I do have
instead of
two
one.
partners. So,
And down here, you got us if we can just
I
find
do.
the time.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we're trying to rent that cottage a little bit here and there. Not really doing much of that, but I'm real picky about that. He was like, we need to pay for the renovation. I'm like, we can pay for the renovation and then we're done. But
well, I thought about calling you because we were thinking about taking the kids somewhere, Piper and Nolan for a weekend or something. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. So,
I don't know if we want to.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to. We're thinking at least here we got them caged a little bit. But then you think about it, that sometimes, getting them out and doing something different with them is good.
fun.
And
Gives
they
them
behave
a little,
different sometimes.
yeah. And sometimes they don't, but that's okay because they're kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that is okay.
Yeah. And I know Piper, she really liked it when we took her over to Gulf Shores. And like I said, she likes that Fish City Grill.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
She still talks about that. I want swamp
wanna
soup,
go back.
Grandma. I want swamp soup. I mean, out of all things that you'd hear a kid say,
That's the one.
She
that's it.
tore that up. She ate her stuff,
My
a
stuff.
little bit of everything we had, and we had two
Yeah.
totally different plates. She tried
It's fun,
all
though.
kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
At least she's not afraid to.
Yeah, that
I
was
mean-
Yeah,
the,
she's not. Her
and
brother is.
and when we went that night, that was the night that Burger King out front got robbed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Arby's one.
Arby's got robbed.
The one right in front is the Arby's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
it was the Arby's that got robbed while we were there.
While you were there?
Yeah, we didn't know about it. We didn't know that it happened because it happened while we were in there eating.
Whoa.
So, but we had a very nice waitress, and she told me to never pay the bill. Always make Ron do it. And I said it comes from the same account,
Right? Yeah, it's
So-
like we
Believe
have
me, I've
separate cards,
tried.
but it's the same account. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when you were talking about equipment,
Mhm.
this next Milton Paranormal meetup that we're doing,
Mhm.
we've asked everybody to bring equipment if they have it, so that they could share it and show it, and do a show and tell
Mhm.
for the people who don't know how it works, and
For everybody.
yeah, most of
Pretty
everybody.
much.
So, but last month we had a really big surprise. Mark didn't make it, which was sad, but
It is.
Rob from
Have you heard from Mark lately?
Yes, I actually he
I know
called
he's
me.
busy.
He called me on his way to somewhere because I've been having some memory issues, right?
Yeah.
And so I stepped in and called my doctor and said, "This is weird. We need to find out what's going on." And I had just made that phone call. We had decided to go and do some blood work and stuff because turns out that was a good thing. I should have done the blood work. But so Mark called me out of the blue, out of the freaking blue, and he was like, "Hey, I got some spirits here, and they said to call you and tell you that's not Alzheimer's." And I was like, "Good to know, thanks." And he was like, "Well, I just had to tell you that because they were not leaving me alone, and they're your people, and that's not what that is. I know that so many people in your family have had Alzheimer's. You do not." And I was like, "Thanks." So, come to find out that because I am a Splenda queen, okay, sucralose is not your friend.
No.
And if it builds up, then you get confusion, you get memory loss, you get all the stuff. I was repeating myself over and over. And I was about a week into not using it at all, which I don't know what that's going to do to my diet because now I'm drinking real sweet tea as opposed to no calorie sweet tea. So I'm still cutting it with water, so I figure it's going to balance out. But
I cut it with unsweet tea. That's what I do.
I do not like unsweet tea.
Well, I mix them together.
Nobody does.
I mix them together. They laugh at me at Chick-fil-A. I'd like unsweet tea with a
Oh,
splash.
I do.
of
I get half and half.
Yeah, I give me
Chick-fil-A.
a splash, and they're like, "How much is that?" I said, "Fill it to this line, and then the rest was sweet." And they're like,
Yeah.
"It's this much." I said,
Yeah.
"I know."
That's all it
I said,
takes.
"It doesn't take much." I mean,
Mm.
Southern sweet tea is
Sticky sweet.
teeth rotting.
Yeah. And I do. When I go to Chick-fil-A, I get a half and half tea. But I have not had sucralose in 3 weeks. At least 3 weeks. And I am so much better. It's
Good.
unbelievable. And it was weird because initially my stepmother knew what I was talking about. She's the only person that has. You might. But initially, the first week or so, this part of my brain literally felt tired. I mean, it felt like a muscle tired.
Yep.
And I was like, what the hell is this? Why is this a thing? I
It's
don't,
because you were coming down from
Oh
a
yeah.
high.
I was
You
coming
were,
off of an addiction. Yeah.
yeah. I was addicted to aspartame. I
Hmm.
basically had aspartame poisoning,
That's
and I
what
had no
this,
clue. And people go, "Well, it's natural." And it doesn't matter if it's natural.
no,
It's still not good for
sucralose
you.
is natural.
I know it's not natural. So,
Yeah.
but
Aspartame is totally not.
it's all you're. I mean, it's like drinking plastic. It's
Yeah.
not good for you.
Yeah.
So it's just like people, they talk about stevia being good for you. Well, everything might be good for you in small amounts, but if you're
Or
taking
better in
too much,
proportion. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I drink, I drink sweet tea, I drink water, I drink unsweet tea. I just,
Yeah.
I drink a lot of coconut water, things with coconut
Oh,
water in
you
it.
are just a badass then. I hate coconut water.
Oh, buy is so that I can drink that.
Body armor's got it.
Body Armor's got it too.
Okay. Because I sure can't drink out of a coconut water. That is some nasty crap.
Yeah,
I agree.
it's gross.
That's
And I mean, I like coconut, and I like a lot of things coconut. Don't like coconut water. It
not
tastes
even a little bit.
no, it tastes like fibers. It tastes
It
like the
does, and
outside
it
of the
tastes
coconut.
like sweat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
It's
tastes like a nasty, nasty bodybuilder person that just wrung themselves out into a coconut
Which is a
noodle.
reason why I would never be on Bear Grylls the island.
No,
There's no way. I would tell him, eat my shorts. I'm not doing it. I don't
nope,
like coconut water.
nope.
That's
It
all
is
there is to
not
it.
my idea of a good time.
No. Well, you know what? We've come to the end of our show. And what do you want to leave everybody with?
I'm going to
Um,
Ireland and you're not. Yeah.
Oh, we are.
you are, but I have my own island world here as well as there. But I think probably does it matter what it's about?
No. Some wisdom you want to leave the world with today.
I don't know how wise it is,
It doesn't matter.
but you know, one of the things that I don't do ever, and I was a political science major. I love politics. I don't talk about them, but I'm going to just say that if there were anything that I thought was really, really important and necessary and ignored for the most part, would be the fact that politics doesn't matter. It doesn't. In the grand scheme of things, you're going to still want to go and hug your grandma that voted for Trump 67 times, and you're going to want to hug your granddaughter who thinks that he's a demon from hell, and your coworkers are all varied, and they probably won't tell you the truth about their politics anyway. And one of the things that I've always thought is the very most important thing in the world is to be kind and to live and let live. You know, at this point, no matter how big of a fit you pitch anywhere, nothing changes. Everything is going to go the way it's going now. And that's going to be for the next 3.5 years. And before that, nothing was changing, right? Because people were having fits in the street and stuff. I think that what we need to do is everybody really work at not hating somebody because they're different. It's not right to judge people by the color of their skin. It's not right to judge people by your perception, because people don't talk about it, but by your perception of their politics. It's not right to judge people because they have a disability that makes them look different from you, or talk different from you, or walk different from you. And I think that in this day and age, I'm 63, I'm old as dirt. I am so happy with my life, and I'm so happy with my kids and my grandkids. I'm so blessed to have all of that. But kindness really seems to be, you know, rare on the ground. And if we could just remember that people are, everybody gets up in the morning and faces a new day, and they don't know what's going to happen in that day. There are people that are going to lose someone they love that day. There's people that are going to lose their own life that day. We don't know what is going to be going on. If you're kind, and if you let people just do them, and don't try to harm them, don't try to force your ideas on them, and don't let them force theirs on you. Just no matter what, do no harm. Be kind. Understand that this is real. If you're young, it's harder to get that. I was a firebrand when I was young. I'm kind of a firebrand now, but on different things. So I just think that there's no way on God's green earth that you can overrate basic kindness. And you don't have to agree with somebody. Nobody really cares if you agree with them or not. You don't care if people agree with you.
Right.
You have your own thoughts. So just don't be mean. Don't be ugly. And just live by namaste. It matters. And that's my one thing. Took me about 5 minutes, but that's my one thing.
Well, you know what? There was your 5 minutes. So, and along with all this that you guys have heard tonight, Kat and I are both, and Ron. Can't forget Ron sitting right here. I can see him.
Yeah. I can see him right there.
Yeah, it's hard for me to. It's hard for me to look at him and talk.
Just look at the screen.
I know it's hard, but
You're on TV.
we are all part of the Things Network. Kat
Yes, we
of
are.
Alabama and us of Florida, and Carl, our producer of Missouri. So
Yes.
please be watching for the shows there on Things Network, on Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment, the Paranormal Pride Facebook and YouTube, the Denise Pridemore LinkedIn. Let's see, where else? Oh, we're on Born TV, on Rumble, and you can watch us in replay on Dark Realm TV on Roku and Amazon Fire. So make sure you go out there and you subscribe to Dark Realm TV. It's $4.99 a month, $49 a year, and
Swinging
stream it
deal.
wherever you want.
And it is a swinging deal because there is some excellent programming on this network.
Yep, you got us, you got Kat, you got Carl, you got so many shows. I can't even watch them all. So you guys got to check that out. Plus, there's a lot of people doing a lot of good things that I know you've heard of. David Glidden's got some stuff going on there, as well as Jason Snyder and Jay Lynch, and let's see, Bodine Bigfoot's out there doing stuff. You never know what he's going to pull out of thin air. Thin air. And it's all interesting. And I guarantee you're going to find something either that you love, something that you like, something you want to talk about, or something you want to bring to us to talk about. So
and we're always
make sure you do that. Yep, we're always open. Contact any one of us, and we will talk. We'll listen to you forever. I guarantee
we
it.
will.
So, and tomorrow night, Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal, will not be on. Carl's granddaughter is getting married, and he is not only is he the grandfather, he's the officiant. So that's important. So family first. That's the one thing about
Yep.
Bill of Rights Network, family first.
Yes.
So as well as
Always.
first responders and veterans, keep that in mind too.
Yeah.
And then join us next Monday night at 7 p.m. Central for the Paranormal Pride. And Kat, where can they find your shows?
Same places. We are all part of the same network. I am I'm also back running the audio portion of the shows back through my Spreaker account. So you should be able to find me again on well, I'm not sure if I'm back on iHeart yet. It may be a week or two, but I am getting back with the audio portion. So there's that. I'm really excited. Carl and I worked on that because I wasn't sure what to do with it. And I will say that one of the best things about this network is how supportive everyone is of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's brilliant. I love being part of us. So you can find me there. You can find me here. You can find me here, there, and everywhere, really.
And then also Fate Magazine Radio.
Yes, Fate Magazine Radio is the online voice of Fate Magazine, which has been in publication since 1947. And it's such an honor to host that show. I was invited to do that, and I grabbed that and growled. But I'm on Sunday nights with that, and I have the best time. I kind of interchange guests a lot because I think that it's all related. And Fate is just my favorite. And if you see me somewhere, I will have my Fate Magazine trading cards with me. So
I have
magazine.
I actually have some of the actual magazines, but
yeah, you got the cards.
There you go. Yes. And I love them. In fact, I just love our covers anyway, because on my shows I give these away, but I have different magazines, and there's the Charles Fort edition.
Oh.
So it's really fun. I've got like ESP and the Moon. Oh, and Robert Schock, who has passed away, but with his Beckley Tempe
Okay.
edition. I just love what I do, right? It's so much fun. I
And
get to talk to people and do stuff.
I know I have 3 of them that you gave me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
So
I don't remember what's in them right now off the top of my head, but you know,
Greg.
I appreciate it. Hey Greg, I hope you're doing well. But I'd like to thank you so much for coming on and celebrating our 10th anniversary with us tonight.
Absolutely.
And,
I love you.
I
love doing
I love
this.
you too. And I every day I tell people, you know, sometimes if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here.
Oh.
And
Well,
I'm
that's
not
not fair, because now
I'm
you're
not-
going to make me emotional. I don't do emotion very well.
Well, apparently Ron wants to go walk, so we got to end this show. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you, everybody.
Join us next Monday night at 7 p.m. Central for the Paranormal Pride. And I hope you guys all have a great week. And I hope you guys will all be here in 10 years when we do the 20-year anniversary.
Bye, Jinko.
Thank you. Good night.
Yes. Good night.
Good night.